The lights shone brightly on the stage of a packed press conference. Reporters lined up, cameras rolling, notebooks in hand, ready to fire questions at Hollywood's biggest star, Denzel Washington. He had just finished a blockbuster film that was breaking records, praised for its powerful storytelling and breathtaking performances. The air buzzed with excitement. But beneath that, there was another kind of energy, the quiet, waiting tension of controversy. At the front of the crowd, among the sea of journalists, one reporter smirked, gripping his microphone. His moment was coming. He had a loaded question, one designed to make headlines, stir division, and spark outrage. Denzel, calm and composed, sat on the panel waiting for the next question. And then it came. "Mr. Washington," the reporter began, clearing his throat dramatically. "Hollywood has long been accused of racial bias. Do you feel that as a black actor, you've been limited to roles that reinforce racial stereotypes? Or do you think the industry still favors white actors for the most powerful leading roles?" A few murmurs rippled through the audience. Some reporters raised their eyebrows, others glanced at Denzel, waiting. It was a classic race-baiting question, framed to ignite division, forcing Denzel into a corner. If he agreed, the headlines would scream, "Denzel calls Hollywood racist." If he denied it, some would accuse him of ignoring systemic bias. The trap was set. But Denzel Washington is no ordinary man. He leaned back in his chair, crossed his hands, and let a small, knowing smile play at the corner of his lips. He didn't rush to answer. The tension in the room thickened. And then, his response left the entire room silent. The room held its breath. The tension was almost tangible, like a slow-building storm just before the thunder hits. Denzel Washington, a man known for his intelligence, grace, and no-nonsense approach, took a measured breath before leaning slightly forward toward the microphone. His eyes met the reporters, not with anger, not with amusement, but with something calm yet piercing. Then, with his signature deep, commanding voice, he spoke. "First of all," Denzel began, his tone even, "I'm not just a black actor. I'm an actor." The room shifted. A few heads tilted. The weight of his words already started to land. "You see, when you put a label on something," he continued, "you limit it. You try to fit it into a box, but I never played that game." The reporter, expecting a simple yes or no, was caught off guard. He adjusted his mic, hesitated for a moment, but Denzel wasn't done. "Now, if I sat around complaining about how Hollywood treated black actors," he said, "I wouldn't be sitting here today. I didn't waste time on excuses, I focused on the work. Because when you do excellent work, you open doors, you don't wait for someone to open them for you." The silence in the room was deafening. Even the other reporters, some ready to scribble down scandalous quotes, stopped writing. Denzel let that moment sit. He knew the impact of a pause. He knew that sometimes silence speaks louder than words. The reporter, shaken but still searching for a headline, attempted to recover. "So are you saying there's no racial bias in Hollywood?" he pressed. Denzel chuckled, not dismissively, but as a man who had been through this before. "I'm saying I don't let it define me. I don't let it control me. And I sure as hell don't let it stop me." The audience stirred. Some nodded, others exchanged looks of surprise and admiration. This wasn't the answer they expected, and Denzel wasn't done yet. The reporter shifted in his seat. He had come prepared for a debate, not a masterclass. Denzel's words weren't defensive, they weren't angry. They were undeniably true, and that made them even more powerful. The cameras zoomed in, capturing the intensity of the moment. This wasn't just another Hollywood Q&A. This was turning into something bigger. Denzel, still composed, still unwavering, continued. "You see, the problem isn't just Hollywood. The problem is how we let others define us." He let the words sink in. "If I accept the idea that I'm only a black actor, then I'm letting someone else tell me what I can or can't be. I don't accept that." The room was dead silent. Even the reporter, once smug and ready for controversy, now looked unsure. Denzel glanced around, making sure everybody was listening. "I was raised to believe that hard work wins. That excellence beats everything. That if you stay focused, you don't just play the game, you change it. A few people in the audience nodded. Denzel's voice was steady, unshaken by the weight of the topic. Now, am I saying racism doesn't exist? Of course not. The reporter leaned forward slightly. Was this the opening he needed? But let me ask you something. Denzel's eyes locked onto him. If I had spent my entire career focusing on the obstacles, do you think I'd be sitting here today? The reporter had no answer. Denzel let a small smile appear. Exactly. At that moment, the power in the room shifted. The crowd wasn't just listening, they were feeling it. Even those who had come expecting controversy now found themselves caught in something far more profound. Denzel had flipped the script, and the next thing he was about to say would change everything. The air in the room had shifted. The usual rhythm of a press conference was gone. This wasn't just an interview anymore. This was a lesson. Denzel leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table, his deep, steady voice cutting through the silence. Let me tell you something my father told me, he said. When you wake up in the morning, you have two choices. Focus on what's stopping you, or focus on what's driving you. His gaze swept the room, and for the first time even the most skeptical faces seemed to reflect on his words. I grew up in a world where people told me what I couldn't do. Where people like me weren't supposed to be the leads, weren't supposed to be the heroes. A few reporters nodded. This wasn't just about Hollywood anymore. This was about life. Denzel continued, his voice filled with quiet conviction. But here's what I learned. Talent wins. Hard work wins. Showing up every damn day and proving yourself. That's what wins. A soft murmur spread through the room. The reporter, still reeling, tried one last time to steer the conversation back to controversy. But wouldn't you say Hollywood still needs to change? Denzel didn't hesitate. Of course it does, he said. Everything needs to change. Everything can be better. But the moment you wait for the world to fix itself before you chase what's yours, you've already lost. The reporter had nothing left. This wasn't the headline-grabbing soundbite he wanted. Denzel had turned the entire moment into a lesson on power, resilience, and control. And then, he delivered the final blow, the words that would go viral around the world. I didn't wait for Hollywood to change. I became undeniable. Silence. And then, applause. A few people in the crowd, who had been hesitant to react before, started clapping. It wasn't scripted, it wasn't forced, it was real. And the look on the reporter's face? It said everything. The applause grew louder. What started as a few hesitant claps quickly turned into something undeniable. Denzel remained seated, composed and calm, but even he could feel the shift in the room. The reporter, who had come ready for controversy, now sat stiffly, his microphone lowered, his confidence shaken. Cameras were rolling. Millions would see this moment. But Denzel wasn't done yet. He let the applause settle, then spoke again. Look, I get it, he said, addressing the entire room. You want a headline. You want me to say something that sparks outrage, but I don't play that game. The reporter flinched slightly. Denzel's words weren't harsh, but they were honest. I'm here to talk about my work, my craft, because that's what I've dedicated my life to. His voice grew firmer. I don't define myself by what's holding me back. I define myself by what I do about it. Boom. Silence. Everyone in the room knew this wasn't just another press conference answer. This was something bigger. The cameras zoomed in, Denzel's face strong and unshaken. The reporter, now visibly uncomfortable, cleared his throat, fumbling for words. But before he could recover, Denzel turned the question back on him. Let me ask you something, he said, his voice unwavering. If a man waits for the world to be fair before he works for what he wants, how far do you think he'll get? The reporter froze. He had no answer. Denzel sat back, letting his words do the work. The room had changed. The narrative had changed. And in less than 2 minutes, Denzel Washington had just given one of the most powerful responses in Hollywood history. And the internet? it was about to explode. Within minutes of the press conference ending, the first clips began appearing online. By the next morning, the internet was on fire. Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, everywhere, the same headline was spreading like wildfire. Denzel Washington's epic response silences race-baiting reporter. The video was everywhere. Millions of views, thousands of comments. Everyone had an opinion. Some people praised him. Denzel Washington just dropped wisdom like a nuclear bomb. This man is in a league of his own. No excuses, no victimhood, just excellence. This is why Denzel is GOAT. This wasn't just an answer. This was a masterclass in handling controversy with grace. Others were shocked. Wow, I didn't expect this. I thought he would go off about racism, but he flipped the whole conversation. Denzel isn't just an actor, he's a leader. That response was legendary. Even celebrities started reacting. One high-profile actor retweeted the clip adding, "This is how you own a room without raising your voice. Denzel, you're the king." The moment had transcended Hollywood. It wasn't just about movies anymore. This was about life, mindset, and success. And the reporter? He was getting dragged. This guy came looking for a gotcha moment and ended up in a TED Talk. LMAO, that reporter looked like he was trying to exit his own body when Denzel turned the question on him. If embarrassment had a face, but it wasn't just humiliation for the reporter, it was a lesson. People weren't just laughing at him. They were learning from Denzel, because his message had hit a nerve. And the best part? Denzel wasn't even trying to go viral. He was just being himself. As the days passed, Denzel Washington's words didn't just trend online. They sparked a movement. Every major news outlet picked up the story. CNN, Fox News, The New York Times, and The Hollywood Reporter all ran headlines dissecting his response. Denzel Washington's powerful words on race and success, a lesson for everyone. No excuses, no victimhood. Denzel Washington's masterclass in handling tough questions. Even political commentators on both sides of the aisle weighed in. A well-known conservative pundit tweeted, "Denzel Washington just said what needed to be said. Hard work, excellence, and accountability will always win." A popular liberal journalist responded, "Denzel's point is bigger than Hollywood. It's about not letting others define you." Powerful words. For once, people from all backgrounds, all ideologies, found common ground in Denzel's message. It wasn't about politics. It was about mindset, about how to face challenges, about how to win, despite the obstacles. Denzel breaks his silence. For days, Denzel stayed quiet. He wasn't one for Twitter wars or online debates, but when he finally spoke, it was during an exclusive interview with a respected journalist. Sitting in a relaxed posture, he smiled as the interviewer asked, "Did you expect your response to go viral like this?" Denzel chuckled. "Man, I was just answering a question," he said, shaking his head. "I wasn't trying to go viral. I was just telling the truth." The interviewer leaned forward. "A lot of people took your words as a wake-up call. They say it's one of the most powerful interviews in years." Denzel paused for a moment. Then, he answered in the same way he always did. Calm, direct, and with wisdom. "Look, I don't have all the answers," he said. "But I know this. If you let people define you, you'll never reach your full potential. I wasn't raised to complain about the system. I was raised to outwork it." Boom. Another mic drop moment. And just like that, the movement grew even bigger. A month after Denzel Washington's press conference response, the conversation was still alive. His words had become more than just a viral moment. They had become a philosophy. People were quoting him in motivational speeches, classrooms, and leadership seminars. Colleges played clips of his response in debates about personal responsibility and success. Coaches used it to inspire their players, reminding them that talent wasn't enough, that excellence was a mindset. Business leaders, entrepreneurs, and even athletes began repeating his message. Don't wait for the world to be fair. Become undeniable. One young filmmaker posted a video on social media. "Denzel's words changed my life. I was stuck thinking about why Hollywood wouldn't give me a shot. But after hearing him, I stopped waiting. I started creating. Now, my short film is making waves. Thank you, Denzel. Another young actor shared. For years, I blamed the industry for not giving me opportunities. After watching Denzel's interview, I changed my approach. I stopped looking for a way in. I started building my own. The reporter speaks out. Even the reporter who asked the question finally broke his silence. He appeared on a talk show, clearly more reserved than before. I didn't expect Denzel to respond the way he did, he admitted. I went in looking for a reaction, instead I got a lesson. At first I was frustrated, but after watching the clip over and over, I realized something. He wasn't attacking me. He was teaching me, and I respect that. It was a rare moment of self-reflection, one that proved just how deep Denzel's words had cut. Even the man who tried to bait him had walked away changed. Denzel's final word weeks later, a journalist caught up with Denzel at an event and asked, "What do you hope people take away from your message?" Denzel, always a man of wisdom and clarity, kept it simple. He smiled and said, "Work hard, stay focused, and don't let anyone tell you what you can or can't be." That was it. No extra words. No need for further explanation. Because by now, the world had already heard him loud and clear. And just like that, Denzel Washington's epic response became a moment that would be remembered for years to come.